everyone, and welcome to Pharma Talks. I'm your host, Nataliya Andreychuk, and today we are diving into a topic that's reshaping how pharma teams work today: AI personal assistants. This is very real, very practical way to discuss how intelligent tools are helping us, are helping sales reps, brand managers, marketeers, like they're helping us to get more done with more impact and in the less time. To explore this further, I'm thrilled to be joined by Thomas Mrosk and Manuel Mitola from ctcHealth, two experts at this field of AI pharma transformation. Thomas, Manuel, welcome to the show. Before we jump in, let us remind to our audience a little bit about your background and connection to AI and pharma so everyone is aligned. Thomas, Manuel, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much,
Thanks.
Natalia, for the introduction. I leave Thomas starting. He's the older one. So, Thomas, please.
I thought of a wiser one. Yeah, Natalia, it's a pleasure being here again. So my name is Thomas Mrosk. I'm one of the founders of ctcHealth. I had nearly 20 years in big pharma. And when we saw that ChatGPT moment coming up, end of 22, one of the things became clear: this is going to fundamentally change the way we do marketing, and we're going to do sales. That's a great opportunity. We're very passionate about this. This is why we founded a company to help our clients find use cases, how to make that technology work for them. What we didn't believe 1.5 years ago is how fast and how deeply transformative it's going to be. If you just look back the last 6 months, it's been incredible. Nobody would have even dared to think where those models going to be in terms of what they can do just a year ago. So we continue to be super passionate about this and continue to put all our brain power around how can we make it work. Thanks, glad to be here. Manuel.
Thank you very much, Thomas. And from my side, I'm the other co-founder, the other founder of ctcHealth. I have a pharmaceutical background as well in terms of industry experience. I spent around 10 years in pharma in various roles, mainly into digital innovation, omni-channel roles. So, but I'm a marketeer by background. And so I joined ctcHealth. I founded ctcHealth to, let's say, make sure, and that's our mission, basically, to make sure that AI is serving people and not the other way around. So that's our key goal. Pleasure to be here.
Thank you, Manuel. Thank you, Thomas. A pleasure all ours to have such experts to discuss the topic. And pharma is a difficult, regulated world, but very interesting one, and with right values and treasuring humans' life. But we are all interested. What are the first steps in creating AI assistants tailored for pharma teams, especially for pharma teams? Thomas, your turn first, as the wisest one.
Yeah, I think it's a great question, and that's what we see now, that people are really wrapping up their head around how can we make it work. So the number one thing we recommend everybody to do is look at the infrastructure you have. Look at what is approved in your organization, because there's a lot of things you could do, as you mentioned, Natalia. There's reasons why pharma is often working with very sensitive information. So your data, your cybersecurity, all of that, as it transitions through large language models, need to be done in a compliant and in a safe way. And most pharma companies do have a great amount of solutions today. We see two types. Many are working in the Microsoft environment. They have Copilot. Copilot gives them access to a wonderful large language model. Others are working in the Google suite. That gives you access to Gemini, which is great. But you want to, that's for me the first step. Understand your infrastructure and what you can work. And I think then you can move to the next step, which is equally important, Manuel.
Yeah, so from my side it is, let's say, the very first step is also to understand what you need to do with these agents. I mean, the pharmaceutical company tends, I mean, I come from there, so I know the tendency is to start with big projects, to start with something huge, start with something that we kick it off in pharma only the moment it is perfect, and usually it takes a lot of time, a lot of back and forth, and so on. But I think in pharma we need to learn from the startup environment, from let's say the Silicon Valley mantra, let's say fail fast, take action fast, and so on. Because one of the things with this agent is that we need to start small. So my recommendation, even in pharma, is to do not compromise, of course, with safety, but start with small pilot in order to test the experience, to validate the experience, if it is bringing value or not, and then complicating the things. There is always time, always let's say moment to complicate the things, but first start with something simpler, validate it, and then scale it. The other recommendation from my side when it comes to the agent is avoid the temptation to use the agent to replace an entire role. The human role is very complicated. So if you want to say, I want to create an assistant, a brand manager assistant, for example, that's a very ambitious goal. So one thing that the agent is doing very well is to be task-oriented and saying, okay, this agent is very good, for example, in brainstorming the SWOT, in preparing the specific action of the brand plan. So the recommendation here would be avoid the trap of trying to build the brand manager assistant, but focus rather on creating, maybe focusing on the task that the brand manager is doing.
That's very important. We are in this era thinking actually in the similar way. So, and I would say pharma today does not need any like another AI tool, just an AI tool in the sake of technology and innovation. It needs an AI tool which can bury the context, right? So the context is so important that every experimenting we have done before AI appeared on the scene mustn't be done in vain. We must capitalize on that, and exactly what we are doing with that and what we are preaching, that building AI on context of the existing ecosystem. In our case, it's existing digital asset management environment, and you utilize your layouts, templates, compliance rules, brand voice, and build your agent exactly to deliver you the exact task. So to stay compliant, to deliver on brand, to produce a market ready communication. So, and you need to be very sure that you are acting, your agent is acting inside the regulated ecosystem, which then we are looking at the leading pharma companies today, and they have a very clear path and pattern where they are building AI innovation, embedding them actually into the existing context. So they start to practice the exact task and it delivers a value. So they focus on context, on compliance, on tech ecosystems they build, but they also keep human in the loop. So that's what is really noticeable today, and what we need to mention on these exact questions to our listeners. But there are also some other tasks which sales reps or brand managers can do more effectively with the help of AI assistants. Could you please elaborate what these tasks could be? You have a lot of experience in that. I think Thomas, Manuel, please.
Yeah, I can start on the sales side if you want, because that's one of the areas where assistants can bring a lot of value. You all have been familiar with the concept of NBE, NBA, next best engagement, next best action. I do not know how your experience is so far, but at the end of the day, the general idea is the more I know about my customer, for whatever insights I have across multiple channels, those AI systems going to be able to make suggestions how I could engage them across the adoption journey. So the theory is very easy. In reality, probably we're all not there yet to fully exploit it. But that's where this range, as Manuel was saying, let's start with very small agents that can help us getting there. So maybe we're not going to fix the whole MBA to a top experience tomorrow, but what we can do, we can fix individual elements that are going to play into this. For MBA to work, it needs to have the right insights. So it needs to have a data lake, right, as we're saying it. And our Salesforce stays the number one source of understanding the customer extremely well and very well sophisticated. But as you know, whatever you put in your CRM system is taking a lot of time, and there are a lot of regulations. Now imagine a simple agent to whom after a sales call I'm dictating what I just did with my client. But the agent knows all your rules, knows all the ethical and guidelines, and what it's going to do is going to summarize what you said. It's going to clean it up so it is completely in compliance, and as Manuel also said, gives it back to you as a sales rep for your final approval to put it in the CRM. So you stay in control. Wouldn't that be helpful? Wouldn't that save a lot of time? And what you do with this, you start filling that data lake with really valuable information that the systems can act on and give you great recommendations. Think of now you adding again your sales numbers, your territory analysis of this. How helpful would it be if you have an agent, instead of you going through your Tableau reports and you don't find where whatever, an agent that does this for you. So you're just going to talk to the agent and ask him, what are the biggest trends in my territory? Where should I go? All of this is reality already today and easily doable, and they have a very high impact. As Manuel said before, they're probably not solving the full thing, but they're solving individual, smaller, puzzle pieces that are extremely impactful, and they add up to become really, really powerful. So those are two I'm very excited about on the sales side that are simple. We can talk about sales training, pre-call planning, etc. I just want to get your imagination going on this. But they're equally fantastic examples on the marketing side. Manuel, what are your favorite agents you're building right now?
Yeah, actually, if I think about marketing, if I think about let's say the marketeer, even before marketing, I mean, the job of the marketeer is extremely complicated thing. Also, I mean, in pharma is something that it is extremely complicated. And before I said, okay, let's focus on the task. But there are certain tasks that are per se very complicated, even if it is a single task, because I could assign to a marketeer, okay, launch a brand. Launching a brand is maybe in theory, on paper, it looks like, okay, a single task. Of course, you just have to launch a brand. Yeah, fine. But then launching a brand means a lot of things. So one thing that we do, for example, at ctcHealth is to, think about a multi-agent system and create a multi-agent system. So not only one single agent, but many agents that are, let's say, supporting the brand manager, for example, in preparing the launch. And then what we do, for example, here is to analyze the subtasks that are composing the launch. You have to prepare, you have to analyze data, you have to brainstorm cross-functionally, you have to analyze the market, you have to prepare the material, you have to, approve the material. So there are many tasks that many agents can do and can support, and there is not one favorite agent that I have in mind, but what I really like is let's say, having this system of agent that is supporting the brand manager along the launch journey. And this is very, very powerful, not only because it is saving a lot of time if you think about the launch, but also because it gives, if you think about from global to local, from region to local, or the other way around, it gives consistency across the strategy. It gives economy of scales in terms of content production, in terms of content reuse, and also ultimately it improves a lot the effectiveness of the marketeer. Ultimately, what is happening? It is happening that, let's say, the agents are also serving as a connectors of the intelligence of the company. Because in the past we were saying, okay, what is the best brand manager in the region? What is the best launch, in the region? And then we say, okay, in Korea, they had a tremendous launch in lung cancer, in another therapeutic area, and then we take the best practice and then we replicate. But in this case, if you have a multi-agent system, then it is collecting also multiple insights from all over the world, from all over the affiliates, and then you have a connector of a globally connected collective intelligence. And this is extremely powerful.
Exactly, the multi-agents architecture is very interesting topic to explore those days, and I think every one of us is diving into these scenarios, how we can deliver the best value out of that, right? So here in this event, we are not staying also, alone. So what we can, I would say, echo of your experience and have a valuable add-on to this architecture, like our newly launched Eva AI agent is now doing also like its multi-agentic architecture, which is on the different tasks, like planning the content, planning the campaign, creating the separate content pieces, then having them MLR ready, having them published, having them tagged. So all of these tiny tasks, but you can understand how they are time consuming in the past, right? So how much time we are saving. And on the other note, we do have the connection between brand managers world and between the strategy execution world, where we are not connected very often because there are plenty of agencies working on the different tasks today. And within this architecture of AI agents, we are also breaking the silos we have created for many years between different tasks we are doing, launching a brand. Exactly. Well, it's a great topic we can discuss really a long time, but here is the other interesting question on the list. So we all know AI isn't perfect, but where do these assistants still struggle the most? How do we fix it? Can we have a recipe or at least a hint where and how? Manuel, can you elaborate on that, or Thomas?
Maybe I can start this time on the thing. So, first of all, I think these agents are agents, and this is something that it sounds very very obvious, but this is something that we need to take into account, that they are not real persons. So one thing that they struggle with at the moment is the human thought. So when we are trying to assign them tasks that are really belonging to the human thinking, we have to be good in fine-tuning them. And when I mean fine-tuning, I'm referring to, a lot of things, but mainly to two big pillars. So the pillar number one is related to the curation of the knowledge base of these agents. So basically the material that are feeding the brain of the agent, and the prompting, the system prompting of this agent. So the instructions that are shaping the behavior of these agents. And to make it work correctly, this is requiring an in-depth domain knowledge. So this is something that when it comes to agents, of course, we have to consider. Then there is also all the things that it is valid for all the AI-based solutions. So they may hallucinate, they may, as you said, Natalia, they may do mistakes. So, for example, it really depends on the use case. One thing that we do, for example, when we need to have an agent that it is 100% reliable, even if 100% is theoretically impossible, what we do is to implement agents that are supported by retrieved augmented generation, by RAG, so that we augment the answer with the references, for example. Or another thing that we do is to implement testing protocol to ensure that the agent is behaving, answering in a proper way. So what we are doing basically, and what I can also recommend is to say, okay, we know that AI can do mistakes, and this is the step number one. The step number two is to implement and to keep update this list of strategy and tactics to mitigate the risks associated with these mistakes. That it doesn't mean just putting the disclaimer, that is one of the steps, but it means implementing a lot of other technical guardrails, technical things to make sure that these mistakes are reduced as much as possible.
Yeah, Manuel was just saying an agent is just an agent. I would just add a human being is just a human being. The second part we do, on the one hand side, to ensure the agent is as correct as he can be, we also need to look at who's the audience. So we need to acknowledge somebody in sales, for example, who's got 20 or 30 years of experience. He may not be as fascinated and, curious about now using an agent. And the last thing that person will want to do is spend a lot of time on understanding what he needs to do and figuring out where that agent is going to give him value. So we spend a lot of time at ctcHealth on understanding the user experience and the interface that needs to go with this. So the agent is embedded in an environment that is as easy as intuitive to use for the audience that we're targeting. And we feel that is something that is often underestimated because, again, a human is a human and we're very, very different. And this is a transformative change. And not everybody is as excited about this as we are, but we can help them on their journey by making it as easy as possible to unleash the value that those agents are giving. So, yeah, that is a second point that is very important to do and that we're always trying to put a lot of emphasis on.
Thomas, this is very powerful statement, and AI, we know, is a powerful on its own, but it is not perfect. Like the human being is not perfect, especially in our place, which is regulated pharma. So we are struggling a lot if we are not compliant or we are out of context. So there's a lot of struggles over there, and this is exactly where we can draft a content fast, but it doesn't necessarily inherit the medical, legal, and all the other complexities we are facing, regularly in our industry. That's why when we were building Eva AI on the top of eWizard, together inside eWizard context, we are very much on the journey to give our AI agentic architecture context first, so that we have the approved assets, that we have the compliance frameworks underneath, then we just inherit that brand voice, and we always keep human in the loop where we are not really go away from review and approve from medical people, but instead of giving them a blank start, we are giving them compliance ready, prepared draft, which is pairing human experience with AI, and that's giving the efficiency. So it's absolutely like you said, we need to go together and we need to make it stronger and much more powerful with the human wits and with AI powerful machine underneath. So That was a beautiful, rich episode. Thank you, Thomas. Thank you, Manuel.
Thank you, Natalia.
Thanks, Nataliya.
That's very great insight you have shared, and that's a very clear takeaway that AI in pharma, it's not even in the beginning, and it's not only for automation. The journey just, appearing on the horizons, and together we are really destined to have a smarter way doing things together, bringing them, these agents, on the task, making sure we have multiple agents working as the orchestra, as a team, that we are helping to resolve end-to-end process. Sales is an important aspect, marketing is an important aspect, content is an important aspect, and so we are all on this journey. So thank you to all the listeners, and thanks for listening to Pharma Talks. And I hope the next episode with you, Thomas, and with you, Manuel, will be as much exciting as this one, because the next episode will be even more about how we can use AI to train, to work with the sales forces, to bring the AI wits on the field, and to make sure we accelerate the sales journey in pharma. So thank you.
Looking forward to that.
Thank you, Natalia. Thanks, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.